Good day. My name is William Amangun. I'm a seminarian for the Archdiocese of Agana, Guam. So what is my story? I entered the seminary when I was 17. I stayed there for 5 years and then had a 19 years of break. Within those 19 years, I was teaching religious education. But one day, I started going to Mass every day, and I experienced the transforming love of God, and I fell in love with the Holy Eucharist. And then the desire to become a priest was there again, but I was trying to avoid it because of my own unworthiness, knowing my own weaknesses. But looking at salvation history, it dawned on me that God never called the strong. He never called the qualified, but He qualified the call. And that gave me comfort. So I realized that if God is calling me to the priesthood, He will give me the grace. He will work in me. He will work through me. And all I needed to do was to say yes. And so I did. I said yes and re-entered the seminary. And I've never been happier in my life until then. This is now my third year, incoming fourth year at St. Patrick's Seminary in Menlo Park, California. And it has been a beautiful journey. It has been a beautiful journey. So I encourage you, single men out there, to think about the priesthood. Pray about it. Listen to God. Talk to your pastor, your vocation director, and allow them to help you in the discernment process. And again, if God is calling you to the priesthood, He will give you the grace. He will guide you. For all those who have been praying for us, thank you very much. Please continue to pray for us. May we become faithful men, holy men of God, so that one day when we get ordained and become priests, we may serve God and His people in all holiness and truth. Again, thank you very much, and may God bless you and your loved ones always.
When it comes to the call to the priesthood, one of the famous quotes that immediately comes to mind is the one by St. Augustine, wherein he says, "Our hearts are restless until they rest in God." I think this is an important quote because the discernment process, or for any young man who's thinking about the priesthood, a lot of questions can arise. Am I really being called to this? What will my family think? What will my friends think? Or do I have what it takes to even become a priest? Can I fulfill the academic obligations of seminary life? Although important questions, I think sometimes we can get lost in the details of these questions because ultimately when God calls us to the priesthood, He also gives us the necessary graces we need to answer that call. And if we're still stuck in that place of, should I even entertain this idea or not, know that ultimately our happiness lies in the very vocation that God calls us to. If God is calling us to the priesthood, it is there that we will find our fulfillment.
My dear brothers and sisters, St. Augustine once said that to fall in love with God is the greatest of romances, to seek Him, the greatest adventure, and to find Him, the greatest human achievement. When was the last time that you went on for an adventure? When was the last time that you made footprints in the sand? We are so blessed to be in a paradise, and it is in here that I had the greatest adventure with God. Guam has been my home ever since I made my first footprints in the island since 2008. My vocation story with God is the greatest love story of all. It might not be perfect, but it is sacred. There were times that I wanted to walk away and walk the opposite direction. There were times that my footprints would seem insignificant, that it just fades away. There were times that I felt that I was alone and that I saw only my footprints printed in the sand. Yet our Lord never abandons us. And just like the Good Shepherd, He cares for us. He never abandons us. And in the poem, Footprints in the Sand, He tells us, whenever we see only a pair of footprints, it is there when God was carrying us and embracing us with His care. I started the high school seminary when I was 11. And after 6 years, I took a short break of 18 years. And during those 18 years, I went on an adventure to find myself in the world. I was on a mission to find the answer of what it is that I really wanted to do with my life. After 18 years, God has brought me back to where I first started. Just like His disciples, our footprints will never be the same when we answer God's call. Peter, John, and James were no longer fishermen. Their footprints that bear the unworthiness of man were no more. For young men discerning and thinking about the priesthood, the Lord is calling you to follow His footprints, to have the greatest adventure with Him, and to fall in love with God in following Him. This is Deacon Ron. Together, let us make footprints with our Lord.